welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today, I'm doing a special video. The ban update, the long-awaited December 16th ban update, happened a couple days ago at this point, and I am going to play off against Andreas, Ecobaronen, and Peterson. We're playing 3 different decks to showcase, hopefully 6 different decks in the format. I don't know what he's bringing yet, or what order we're going to play them in, but I have selected 3 decks that are legal in the current format. First off, Nadu Elves. Nadu is a card that I think could have been banned on this list, and nobody would have missed it, and it might end up getting banned anyway. I would like to stress test it against some new opponents and see if the format has changed to a point where people can play correct interaction for this now that they're not worried about other stuff. But I believe Nadu to be powerful. I think Nadu Elves is the fastest and most threatening version of Nadu currently out there. The Bant Zenith Nadu deck, that one, I mean, this is also technically a Bant Zenith Nadu deck, but the other one is much more fair and probably more stable. This one's trying to go fast instead, and I want to focus on this one. We are coming out of one of the fastest eras Legacy ever had, and this was a deck that was competitive and winning tournaments in that fast era, and I want to see if we keep sending it. The second deck I selected is another one that I think cards could have been banned out of. I think Sowing Mycospawn, Kozilek's Command, and Glaring Fleshraker are all reasonable cards to not be in Legacy, and nobody would really miss them that much. And this is going to be the theme of these 2 deck choices. Just, is it still good? Has the format slowed down to a spot where people could play Blood Moon, Back to Basics, the type of things that beat Eldrazi but never had a chance versus Psychic Frog? This is a straightforward mono-green Eldrazi build. It's got a couple One Rings in it to reload, got the Kozilek's Command, the Mycospawn, the Thought-Knot Seer, all these in 4 of accounts, and just, you know, big mana, too fast, try to overwhelm your opponent. So that's 2 decks that were completely unaffected by the bans when they could have been. And my final entry, because you have to stand for something in this world. You can't just make all your choices based on pettiness. This is a deck I actually want to be good. And this is a deck that was playing some Psychic Frogs of its own. Had to replace those. And this is a deck that I believe just benefits from the bans. And I played Bug Beans at Eternal Weekend America. It did not go well for me. However, 2 other players did make top 32 with basically the same list. The tools are here to stuff combo back into the can. The tools are here to grind out over top of mid-range or aggro decks. And if the format just slowed down on average, that's only good for Bug Beans. This updated list came from Pokemoki. He just added some Orcish Bowmasters over the slots that Frog were in. He's trying out a Narset that's really helpful in control mirrors. And other than that, the deck has not changed. The main deck and Sign to Memory Flex slot's still here. We got 2 Daze, 2 Cut, 3 Murktide. Basically just interact a little bit, then start drawing cards and bury your opponent. That's the plan. Be control when you need to be control, be tempo when you need to be tempo. And we'll see how it lines up against whatever decks Andreas brings tonight. Those are my selections. We've got Nadu, Eldrazi, and Bug Beans. Let's go have some battles in this new format. I am on the play for round 1. I randomized what decks I would play and in what order. I am playing Eldrazi, and then Nadu, and then Bug Beans. And Andreas is playing Nadu, and then Dimir Reanimator, and then Grixis Delver. Which means I'm playing against Nadu right now. I am going to keep this hand. Turn 1 Chalice of the Void versus a deck full of Mana Dorks is pretty solid. I was fairly confident that Andreas would pick Reanimator and a Delver deck. Not that we were trying to metagame each other, but just like those picks make sense to me. Okay, I'm gonna think about this for a second. I already have Fleshraker. I don't think I need Mycospawn yet. I have Ugin. Gives me turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer if I don't want to wait. Wasteland is disruption. Mycospawn is disruption. Yeah, do I want to go fast or do I want to make sure that I continue to have action? I think having action, because I could go Chalice, Flesh Raker, and then one of these 4s. Right, I'm going to take Mycospawn. Okay, Chalice of the Void. Nadu Elves does play Allosaurus Shepherd. Might just be able to shrug this off, or it might have just mind twisted him. We'll find out momentarily. But back to my thoughts. Not that we were trying to like metagame each other and win a tournament against each other or anything, but I was pretty sure Andreas would play. Oh, I drew the card anyway. I was pretty sure that Andreas would play Reanimator because that is a deck that he likes. And last time we did one of these format change playoffs, he also played Reanimator just to see if it was still good. I'm going to go with Thought Knot here. Okay, he's got Shaman Encore, Zenith Hoof. I think I want this Zenith. The Hierarch's locked out. Boseiju does answer the Chalice eventually. I'm going to take Zenith. Okay. And then I will pass the turn. Prioritizing Hedge Maze over Basics, getting some selection here, but that does open him up to Wasteland off the Mycospawn. The fact that we both chose Nadu Elves indicates that we are both of the mindset that that deck is clearly one of the best ones that survived the bans. Okay, decision time. This costs 1. This costs green colorless. If I want to kick it, it's another. Do I want to wait till I kick this or just apply damage now? I'm going to start by attacking. He's not going to block. Take your 4. And then we've got Flesh Raker for 1 mana. Then Cavern on Eldrazi. Make green. I get a trigger and a tutor. Wasteland is the easy one here. Is there something more clever to do? I could get Gaia's Cradle and start activating Eye of Ugin next turn. But I think just disruption is what I want to do here. Take out the blue so he can't cast Nadu. Already has a Nomad in play, or else I would have gone for the white. Okay, it's going to be a big draw next turn if I draw a spell that does anything versus not doing that. There's one more basic land type left in... Or wait, no, I can't get Waste off Boseiju. Land with a basic land type. Waste is a basic land, but it doesn't have a type. So Boseiju's actually just disenchant here. Because I'm holding my forest. Oh, he packed it. Cool. All right. Ran him over. The Dismembers come in. Disruptor Flute comes in. You can name whatever Nomad is in play with this. Wastecape Battle Mage can temporarily remove a creature from play. These 6 cards I'm interested in. Null Drifter, probably a little slow for this matchup. The One Ring might be slow for the matchup too, but if I keep a hand that's just like 3 Dismembers, or 2 Dismembers and a Kozilek's Command, I'm going to have to reload somehow. But if I'm boarding in 4 Dismembers, that's a lot of pressure on my life total when I have the One Ring as a backup plan. I think I'm going to cut these Once Upon a Times. I'm bringing in a bunch of things that I can't get with that. Chalice was really good on the play. He's probably bringing in Swords to Plowshares on the draw. But if he gets a Mana Dork down ahead of this, it gets a lot worse. But locking out Nomad is pretty serious. Do I cut this Mox Diamond? Or are we just not really necessarily about speed here? But Mox Diamond casts Dismember without hurting me. Yeah, I think at least 1 Chalice on the draw, maybe 2. And then I'll bring them back in on the play. I need 1 more cut. Devourer is a removal spell that helps me find stuff. Devourer you don't need. It doesn't have qualifications like Once Upon a Time. I can just take Dismember off of that. Maybe I don't need the 3rd Battle Mage because this build already has 2 in the main. Or Mycospawn. Maybe I just go down to 1 Chalice. Nah, that card still has text. Alright, I'm going in. Well, turn 1 Chalice after boarding multiples out. I'm in. Okay, I'm going to keep and reveal my Devourer. That will trigger on my first upkeep. Windswept Heath. Birds of Paradise. You got it. Devourer, we've got Thought Knot Seer, Wasteland. The blue is the kicker on this that matters for this matchup. Artifacts or enchantments are not it. I do have green. I don't have blue right now. I guess I have Lotus Petal. Yeah, I guess it's Thought Knot Seer that I want. This thought seizing a combo deck always pretty solid. Okay, Chalice on 1. Send it again. Lock out the Nomads at least. I'm holding my Lotus Petal so I can get paid off Glaring Fleshraker. Or at least have the option to get paid off Glaring Fleshraker. Zenith for 1, probably getting Shepherd. Yep. Ooh, doesn't have a second land. Interesting. Another Kozilek's Command. That actually makes this a lot more interesting. I was worried about Kozilek's Command a little bit and how I was going to use it. But now, this has become pretty clear. I'm going to exile... I could exile Bird after he misses that land drop, and, like, does it matter if he casts future spells? Yeah, I'm going to exile Bird and make a spawn. Might be a little risky, but missing that land drop, I am interested in punishing this. And drawing the second removal spell is pretty messed up. He's got the rebuild. And an attack for 2, which puts me to 14 because Ancient Tomb is my mana. That's pretty solid. Okay. Fleshraker. Petal, trigger. This is Rite of Flame that also deals damage. Now I could Kozilek's Command again, or I could Thought-Knot Seer. Cavern on Eldrazi is happening regardless. Can I do both? Yes. Exile Hierarch, trigger, make a Sire. No, not quite. I'm 1 short, right? Oh, no. Yes. I'm so bad at Eldrazi math. Yeah, I'll be 1 short to Thought-Knot Seer. Do I take the look, or do I keep attacking the mana? Do I lock out the counters? Still, we know he's got 5 spells in hand from missing all those land drops. I can Devourer of Destiny next turn if I Kozilek's Command now. I'm going to exile Noble Hierarch. And do I want to scry and draw, or just make the spawn? I'll make a spawn. And that dealt some damage, and I will pass the turn. I'm ready to devour this Shepherd next turn. Even with the Shepherd in play, opponent can't cast Swords of Plowshares, Nomads, and Core. I found a land. Lucky. Birds of Paradise cannot be countered. Sylvan Safekeeper cannot be countered. And now 3 cards left in hand. Is it time to attack the hand instead of the board? Bless. Oh no. Well, welcome to this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could Thought-Knot Seer and then Blast Zone. Yeah, I'll do it like that. Right, what you got going on over there? Okay, Zenith, Nadu. Nomad is not a card. Nadu is a reasonable card if my opponent finds another actual land, because he's about to have no non-land permanents. Zenith could be anything. It's much slower at being Nadu. It could replace the Mana Dork, but I could devour that. Not particularly well, though. I'm just going to take the Nadu. That's the most efficient thing going on here. A Blast Zone, busted for 1. There goes all that. And now I'm pushing damage. Game's not over, but it will be over quickly. We got the GG in the chat. Okay, that was a bloodbath. I mean, drawing the Blast Zone was a big deal. Game 1 was a bloodbath. Game 2, just a bunch of removal built in and never got off the ground, which is good, because if he gets off the ground, I can't win. On to the next one. Your path to the Pro Tour starts here. Don't miss Magic Spotlight Foundations, January 3rd through 5th, 2025 at SCGCon Atlanta. Kick off the new year with Magic's most exciting new event. Compete in the brand new Foundation Standard format with $50,000 in prizes, 8 Pro Tour Aether Drift invites, and it's the only place to get the exclusive, borderless Terror of the Peaks promo card with art by the beloved Richard Kane Ferguson. All main event participants will get the exclusive Terror of the Peaks, but the top 128 will also earn a foil version of this breathtaking promo. Your path to the Pro Tour starts here, but only if you're part of the action. Come join me for Magic Spotlight Foundations at SCGCon Atlanta, January 3rd through 5th. Your sign-up link is in the video description. I'm on the draw in the second round. He is on Reanimator here. I know the archetype. I don't know the list. I don't know if Reanimator is just full turbo now, or if he is doing like Barrow-Goyf Bowmaster stuff, trying to exist in the mid-range. But either way, I have an Endurance in my hand. And a Collector Roof that I won't miss if I have to pitch it. So let's see how this goes. Underground Sea. And a pass. Word of Calling, what's up? I'm just going to get Tropical Island. He's going to spend time wastelanding me. I don't think I'm that upset about it. Maybe I'm supposed to play Shepherd there to make sure Endurance resolves. Okay. Yeah, if I get got here by Daze or Force of Will, it will be because I didn't play Shepherd. Okay. Do I lose because I misplayed? Yep. All right. GG. Okay. I thought about that like after I made the play, and that was pretty bad. Okay, Fairy Macabre comes in. I don't really want him to be able to reanimate my Atraxa. Endurance comes in. Swords to Plowshares. I don't think I care about his fair plan. Whatever is going on over there, if he's doing like Bowmaster and Barrowglyph stuff, my deck should just clown that. Yeah, I am pretty bummed I didn't lead on the Shepherd. I'm trying to shrug it off, but that was like one of those moments where you just think about it 1 second after it's too late. Safekeeper, maybe? Yeah, I like all the things that can get Endurance at instant speed or find Keen-Eyed Curator. I like all the things that help me go fast. Okay. Macabre's and Endurance in. That's all I'm doing. Okay, on the play. Not going to make that same mistake again. Keep this one. I have the Shep I can lead on. And then my stuff just works. Opponent kept 7. Thoughtseize, okie dokie. Probably going to lose Endurance here, because that's how combo works. If he's on a slower or pivot style hand, might not. But that is what happened. Okay. Nomad's Encore. I'm going to put that on the stack. And I'm going to Zenith. I'm just going to get a Shepherd and try to make an uncounterable Court of Calling next turn, or a Dried Arbor with Shepherd. If he goes Entomb Reanimate here, I will discard the Forest and hope to draw a mana source next turn to just go off into it. Yep, cool. I have to sack a creature too. All right, no, I'm fucked. Can't win this game. All right. Yep, cool. Did Legacy get better? I can't even tell. On to the final round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play for the final round here. This one guaranteed to be more interesting than the last ones. I will keep this. Opponent is on Grixis Delver. I don't have the removal I want. Force of Will's not great in the matchup, but I like keeping 7s when I know the matchup's not going to kill me on turn 1. And this is the singular round where we did not choose broken decks from the previous format that could have been banned that weren't. I'm going to get my Surveil land here. Leading on Badlands is wild. Wonder if he's just protecting a blue source from Wasteland, or what are we doing with that? Witherboom Command is a card that I like. All right, I got to respect Bowmaster, so I'll just go now with the Brainstorm, Daze my own Bowmaster. I don't need this Force of Will, and I don't need 2 Murktides. Lightning Bolt is a card that was recently unbanned. Got to think about that one. And he doesn't know my list. Bugbeans has played Stifle in the past. Might be thinking about that. This list does not have that, though. I'm going to fetch in response, make him sweat. I'm just going to get an Underground Sea, and then your thing resolves just fine. Have fun. I don't want to get stifled either. I don't know what he's got. Delverino. Okay. Well, this is fun. Okay, Wasteland, Orcish Bowmaster. Oh, I could have played around Daze by wasting the island. He had 2 lands, so I didn't think about it. Okay. That happens. But I am going to waste the island. And then Witherbloom Command can pick up Wasteland next turn. Then I just got to figure out what I'm doing about this Delver. Force pitching Brazen Borrower over that interaction. Yeah, just going for it. Bolt me. This is random. All right, that was a big miss. Brainstorm. Delver's unlikely to miss again. He's already played his land this turn, which means that he can't shuffle this Brainstorm even if he wants to. Unless Troll of Khazad-dûm or Lord Revealed are somehow in this build. Okay, Edict's good, but Command is better, and I am going to play around Daze. Target player mills 3, target creature gets -3/-1. I will mill myself. I don't want to clear his Brainstorm for him. Cool. I'm going to grab a Wasteland. Delver's dead. I can answer the next threat, and I have a source of card advantage. There's probably some spell on top of the deck that would have flipped Delver. Okay, we're still going. Tempo Lightning Bolts. Land Murktide is a pretty powerful play that I do have covered. Yep. Bug Beans doing its thing. Yeah, I'll just draw for turn, play Wasteland. Each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature of their choice. Do I even Wasteland anymore? I don't think so. I'll just use it for mana. And Ponder. Oh, let's go. Okay, another Wasteland in my hand. I could take him completely off blue or black next turn, or red. I could just decide what color he's going to play the game with, and then play a Murktide Regent. DRC. Upkeep. Wasteland the black. If you're going to play Bowmaster, you have to do it now. Draw. Wasteland. Hit the Valk. Murktide. I'm not going full size because I do play Mystic Sanctuary in my deck, and Sheoldred's Edict is a card that might still be good. You'd have to main deck a Pyroblast and hit a land drop to get around Daze here. Thoughtseize. This does not give him Delirium. I'm going to Daze picking up Hedge Maze because I actually do want to slam this Narset on him. My top card right now is another land. I'll take that. Tropical Island. Can't Daze me from this position. Bayou. Narset. Dig. Force of Will in my hand now. And I will just pass the turn. No need to get rowdy here. Cool. All right, Bug Beans versus Delver. You love to see it. Witherbloom Command, Carpet, Veil of Summer. Basic Island's a maybe. Hydroblast seems solid. Barrow-goyf, Pernicious Deed. Lots of options here. We saw Murktide Regent. We didn't see Nethergoyf. We did see Delver. And there's only so many slots in a deck. I don't think I need both Nile Spellbombs. I'll consider the second one. This is not a consigned to memory matchup. I don't need all my forces. Narset's a little clunky. I don't need Thoughtseize here. I can sidegrade Wasteland into Island if I think my mana is more important than my opponent's, as I just mash these piles together. Hopefully I can separate them correctly. Okay, I think that's right. Dismember is a painful removal spell, but it is a removal spell. I think I am going to cut Dismember. I have enough removal in the deck without hurting myself to do it. I don't love Force of Will in the matchup, but Force of Will triggering Beanstalk and burying opponents is the primary game plan of this deck, but I am going to shave a second one here. Let's do it. Yikes, this hand is terrible. I will be mulliganing this. This is slightly better. I'm going to keep this and bottom probably Murktide. That's the one that's farthest away from being useful. Seeing the Mystic Sanctuary twice is a tough beat, though. Here's Channeler. Bobble. Just doing stuff. Going crazy. Bobbled me right away. Hedge Maze, cool. Alright. I was likely to play a tap land this turn anyway. Fatal Push is a nice one to find. Let's see if he gets a turn being the Wasteland deck. We're both capable of it. He's better at it. I just had the cards go my way last game where it turned out to be my strategy, but then you saw in the sideboard where I actually boarded out a Wasteland. Not a Wasteland. Good news, everyone. Another Channeler. Fetch, still 2 card types in there. Brainstorm or Ponder could easily get Delirium here. Lightning Bolt could do it too. Just needs to find a sorcery or creature. Got there immediately. And here comes the Bloodbath. I definitely don't have time to deploy this Beanstalk. I'm just going to Fatal Push one of these Channelers and then cast Ponder. And I'm going to push first to play around Daze. And I will Force of Will if on the push if my opponent forces. Witherbloom Command, Murktide, Ponder. These are not the cards I need. Way too far behind on the Delirium over there. This is a shuffle. Found a Murktide anyway. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand over there. Just attacked and passed. I could just play Beanstalk and hope I get another turn. I think I'm supposed to Ponder, and I'm prepared to Force of Will and Orcish Bowmaster. Yep. Force that. Is Pyroblast the last card in your hand? Nile Spellbomb Tameo. What do I think of this? This is a multi-turn line, actually. Okay. Tameo, Nile Spellbomb, Trop. Don't shuffle. Play the Trop. See if we could get a Daze on the hook with this Beanstalk. Alright, Beanstalk's in. That's even better. Okay, let's see what happens here. These last few cards in hand are going to be important, and we're pretty sure they're not Pyroblast. Bobble. That one I don't care about. Looked at the Tameo on top of my deck. Drew a card. There's Tameo. Mystic Sanctuary, target Fatal Push. Yes, put it on top. I think I sequenced this wrong. Nile Spellbomb, play that. Witherbloom Command, target player mills. Or do I want to gain life here? Is that more important than hitting a land drop? I would target them with the mill, which is also a little awkward in its own way. Yeah, I'm going to drain life here. -3, -1. Target opponent loses 2 life. Black-green. And I'm playing the Witherbloom Command first because now if I Nile Spellbomb, there's no sequence that gets him back into Dragon's Rage Channeler. But if I Spellbomb first, he could, like, theoretically cantrip out and get Delirium in response. Okay, I'm drawing Fatal Push for my turn. I'm out of Bolt range. I'm in easy Price of Progress range. Something that I could have fetched around a little earlier, but then my Mystic Sanctuary wouldn't be on now. There's a Ponder. If I had another black, I would have drawn a card off the Spellbomb rather than play Tameo, but this is what I got to work with. Ponder. Shuffled that one. Can I get a clue token? No, sir. All right. Well, I'm drawing Fatal Push, and I have Beanstalk active. Murktide is his best card here. It's also my best card. I could kill that. Uh-oh, 3 mana. What are we doing? Yeah. All right. Had the best card. Well, I'm going to kill Delver here and hope I draw Murderous Cut or Children's Edict. Big draws. Uh-oh. This does not help me do anything anymore. My Mystic Sanctuary and my Hedge Maze are both already in play. The 2 life I gained off that Witherbloom Command, buying me a draw step here. Still dead to Bolt ever. And Brainstorm in my upkeep. Okay. Draw for turn. And I'm just dead. Okay. Game number 3. I don't have any answers to Murktide that I'm not already playing. I guess the Force of Wills would qualify. Do I want more of that on the play? I think it's better on the draw. Does Veil of Summer matter? We've seen Thoughtseize. We've seen Molten Collapse as well. Okay, yeah. All right. I like my plan. Going back in. On the play with a Carpet of Flowers. That's pretty nice. I'm going to keep. I could just not play this Carpet. But he'd have to Force of Will it, and I have Daze. No, I'm definitely playing the Carpet. You can't stop me. Legacy as Garfield intended here. My opponent is on 6. I'm getting Tropical Island, playing Carpet of Flowers, and passing the turn. Mishra's Bauble. Bobbling himself, which means he has a fetch land and a non-fetch land available in hand, depending on whether he likes his card or not. Another Bauble. Just looking at everything. Nobody's secrets are safe around here. Is my top card good? Is it Orcish Bowmaster? Is it Witherbloom Command? Tell me now. Scalding Tarn. We know there's a Badlands in the deck if he wants to play around the Carpet temporarily. Seems like he does. Okay, both didn't like the card on top of the deck and wants to play around Carpet. The double whammy. What's my draw? Polluted Delta. Well, if you want to not fetch an island, I will take it away from you. We're playing on islands. That's the deal. I'll accept nothing less. There we go. All right. Was that so hard? Murderous Cut. That is an excellent card for me to be looking at with my Up the Beanstalk that I'm about to put on the stack that I could protect with both Daze and Veil of Summer. I'm going to take a hit from this Delver and then start the engines. Upkeep Beastorm. Go nuts. There is a Bayou in the deck that I can fetch if I need to Veil of Summer this turn, but I'm not sure what would make me Veil of Summer this turn. In for 3. Do we have a land for this Ponder? We do. Any land that casts Ponder also makes Carpet of Flowers juicier. Do I want to play against 2 Delvers yet? I could just daze one. It's fine. All right. I'm going to fetch a Surveil land here and try to unlock multiple pieces of interaction. If I just find like Witherbloom Command here, I am in business. Do I care about Hydroblast? I don't think so. Okay, I'll get rid of that. Murktide Regent. That card's really good. I could just play that. But now I can't Hydroblast a Pyroblast. Disappointing. Okay. Okay, yes, make black. Murderous Cut the Flip Delver. I'm going to spend my mana to try to preserve some of my graveyard. Cool. Found another removal spell. We did it, gamers. Swamp. And I think I'm just going to pass here. See if I could get some information off this Delver. I could not. I'm going to push the Delver now. Dragon's Rage Channeler. Could have Hydroblasted that, but then I wouldn't have found Fatal Push last turn. We'll give and take. There's the Ponder we knew about. My intention is to ram a Murktide next turn with Veil of Summer protection. If they let it resolve and then Pyroblast it, Veil doesn't protect it. If they try to counter it with Pyroblast, Veil does protect it. If they try to Molten Collapse or Brazen Borrow it, Veil works. If they try to force it, that's just the dream. No. All right, well, I'm gonna Veil this. That's almost as good as Veiling a Force of Will. And now I could daze a Force if they do have it on the Murktide. A Ponder. Yes, make 3 blue. I'm gonna Ponder first, because that will improve the Murktide. Brainstorm and some lands. I'll take the Brainstorm. And then fetch. I think I want basic island here. I'm going to play a medium-sized Murktide, because I could grow it at will with the Murderous Cut. Ponder. Another Beanstalk and Nile Spellbomb. Wow, okay. I'll take this Nile Spellbomb. It's a little wonky, because I want the DRC to have to fight, but I don't want him to be able to cast a Murktide right away, but I could cut a Murktide. Okay, no, this is fine. We got the GG in the chat. Okay, stick around. We're going to debrief these matches. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Andreas Peterson. I'm here with Brian back-to-back Koval, as I have named him on coverage when doing the Eternal Weekends. We just played some Legacy, and yeah, we're here to talk about the games. We're here to talk about what went into our thought process when the ban announcement hit, and you know what led us to pick these 3 decks. So first of all, welcome back from Europe. You had a solid trip. I saw.
Yeah, I figured I went all that way, might as well win.
Yeah, that was amazing. Just going back to back on the same weekend. Did you run hot? Did you play out of your mind? Like, what's the short version of how you managed to do well?
I think I just chose 2 decks that let me leverage play skill a lot and format familiarity a lot. The Esper Loras deck that you designed, like I basically just took your deck and added a Caracas, and that deck just, it absorbs all the BS. Just 7 forces, card advantage, you just catch back up. It's very easy if you understand what decks they're capable of to just make the decision, does this kill me? How do I answer it? Enough times that they run out of gas. By
Right.
Legacy was much cooler. I had a unconventional deck choice in Esper Dreadnought, and my main deck Consigned to Memories. I played against, I think, 3 different colorless decks, Doomsday,
Amazing.
a World Gorger Reanimate deck, so even Consigned was insane there. My
Yes.
tournament path was just basically perfect for the deck that I chose.
Right. Yeah, and that I think the reason why I asked this was I expected an answer like this because it's good to highlight that not only do you have to make a good deck, do your homework, play well, you also have to get, lucky in the right spots, right? A little bit of die roll here, then you're just out of the tournament. It's the difference between top aiding and not top aiding. So you need a lot of things to go right. And yeah, I mean, you're a paper crusher. We've seen this before. It's when there is the chance, you'll pounce and make it count. And whew, amazing. So I just wanted to touch on that before we get into today's topic.
Yeah, and thanks for all the commentary. It was great for you and Martin to just basically put the whole weekend on your backs. Obviously, we had the in-person crew doing the recording and stuff, but you guys talked for 2 days, and that was a lot of talking.
More or less, we did get a little bit of help from Nathan Stoyer did a few rounds, Reed Duke did a few rounds, and Ela Cassis. They were on like ultimate guard duty, so they could swap in for a little bit. But yeah, we talked about a lot of Magic, and Martin is maybe even a legacy specialist by now after that weekend. But yeah, Monday ban announcement hit, and I guessed it's kind of expected. If you were to, give it a guess, it was the lowest odds on this outcome, I assume, with Frog and Bobble.
Yeah, this was the bare minimum that I would have been okay with. I think if they banned nothing or only banned Frog, that would have been not enough to be happy playing Legacy for another 3 months. This was the minimum. I wanted Nadu, Sowing Mycospawn, Reanimate, and I think there was one other card I wanted. I forget what my list even was, but I wanted several other cards gone as well to really shake it up. I also think Legacy could handle Earthcraft, Mind Twist, and Mana Drain. So I would have liked to see one of those 7-card big bans, big unbans announcements that Modern got. But in terms of if they're taking a light touch and only doing the minimum to keep the format playable to figure itself out 3 months at a time, they hit the right too.
Right. So that's always interesting like that, because in order to make those bans that you're talking about, you kind of have to see into the future, because from a legacy player, I see what you're getting at, because you know what the next step is, so to speak, right? But they usually don't have that foresight. I think I've only seen that once or twice where they said, oh, if we ban this, this might take over. I think it was maybe like some standard ban or whatever. But it's not usual the practice, right? So we are very often left with, picking up the scraps, and that's kind of what we wanted to do today, and make some decks fresh off that announcement. And yeah, what's your thought process when those two cards get axed? Combo is now, softened, and so is the premier fair deck of the format. Where do you go when you read a statement like that?
Yeah, well, my 3 decks that I chose for our playoff shows where I go from a statement like that. I wanted 4 or 5 cards banned. Only 2 got banned. So what decks play the 2 or 3 cards that didn't get banned? And that's Nadu, that's Eldrazi, that's Reanimator. And between us, you chose Nadu and Eldrazi, and Reanimator. I chose Nadu and Eldrazi. And between us, just independently, we came to, yeah, this is still the broken shit you could do. And then the other part of me, the hopeful part of me, goes to the deck that I want to play and the deck that I want to be good, which is Bug Beads, or some mid-range control deck with a bunch of options and fun 1-0s and stuff, and you get to cantrip a lot. And luckily, Pokemoki had already updated the list for the post-ban world and sent it to me last night, so I just got to copy his homework and jump right in. And yeah, we both chose the busted shit that was left over, and then we both picked a deck we like. You picked Delver, I picked Beans.
Yeah, definitely. So we talked a little bit about, fair magic and where that is heading in this world, because Wizards obviously tried to balance it out by getting rid of Vexing Bauble. That's a tool for combo decks. But we also lost, in my opinion, the biggest reason to play a fair deck, which is Psychic Frog, ironically. It's a shame that it also helped an unfair deck, but let's just imagine it was only playable in a fair deck. The card would still be legal, right? So where do we go when we lost the best fair card in Legacy? Is it then just utopia to think we can play fair?
I think that that's kind of Stockholm Syndrome, thinking about Psychic Frog as this was such a good fair tool. It was unfair even in fair decks. Like, being able to just have a 2-drop that ignores Blood Moon, it's bigger than Eldrazi, it's bigger than Urza Saga constructs, that's not even fair in a fair deck. I think that we've just grown accustomed to those play patterns after 6 months, and now we have to remember we used to be mad about Orcish Bowmaster. Remember that? Maybe it's time to be mad about that again. But the difference is that a card like Orcish Bowmaster, it's predictable, it's skill testing, it kills slowly if you don't just ram a brainstorm into it. And you can take 10 damage from an Orcish Bowmaster before you find a way to stabilize, and you can still win that game. You cannot take 10 damage from a Psychic Frog and they draw 10 cards and still hope to win that game. It's over.
Agree.
I think that the fair world, we just have to remember our old tools, our Delvers, our Dragon's Rage Channelers, Murktide Regent, Up the Beanstalk, Triumph of St. Catherine, just all these cool cards that were kind of soft banned because they could not keep up with a frog.
Okay, so you're hopeful on behalf of fair, despite losing the best card in a fair deck for the last 6 months.
Yes, losing Psychic Frog, it's like losing Dreadhorde Arcadist, it's like losing Wrenn and 6, it's like losing Oko. I've done this before, and so have you. Right. We've both been playing Legacy a long time. I loved Oko. I loved playing with Oko. I loved everything that Oko did for the decks that I like to play. But it was horrible for the format, and I understand when my toys have to go.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm also just asking because right now I'm not too confident in signing up with a fair deck at all, despite the vexing bauble ban. But I'll jump on your positivity and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that the Delver is going to be a good deck when you can actually bolt your opponent and play Channeler and stuff like that.
Yeah, Lightning Bolt leaving the format was, I think, part of the rise of Ancient Tomb over the last 6 months.
Yeah,
it was kind of, if you're not playing Ancient Tomb or Psychic Frog, what are you doing for a while? And Lightning Bolt was terrible against Psychic Frog, and we saw Grixis just leave the format completely because the main reason to be Grixis, which is Lightning Bolt, was not a reason to be Grixis anymore. And then now you can just Lightning Bolt those greedy Ancient Tomb players. Like our match where I played Eldrazi, you attacked me with like an exalted 1/1 at one point, and I went to 14, and that was the first time you attacked me that game. I was just beating the crap out of myself, and get Lightning Bolt back in that metagame, and that's pretty cool.
I think that's pretty cool as well. So when there's a ban announcement like this, I often think about exactly the removal spells. Okay, what changed? Okay, now we can actually play Lightning Bolt. But what if the Nadu is all over the shop? Then what? Can I then still play Lightning Bolts? Can I still rely on that card? There's a lot of up in the air here. We don't know about the percentages, but my gut feeling as well is that Eldrazi, an untouched tier 1 deck, that's going to be great. What's the other one? Reanimator with less focus on it is still going to be viable. I still feel like that's great. Like last time, basically. Because now, who's going to play main the Graveyard Hate? In the beginning, not that many. It's kind of like last time, in my opinion. And then what's the other one? The obvious one. The Nadu one is kind of obvious, right? And I couldn't tell you if Breakfast, Elves version, or, Banned Midrange is optimal. Have you done any thoughts about like which Nadu version is best positioned?
I think they're all defensible. It depends on what you want out of your deck, and I think if you do the work to understand the play pattern and the spot in the metagame, that they are all good. I do think that the Elves version, it will depend on what you just said, like what removal spells are being played now, because the Elves version and the Breakfast version are both extremely fast and soft to removal, but soft in different ways, where Breakfast needs to stick one particular thing for at least one round of priority to win, where the Nadu Elves deck has to have a Shepherd, a Safekeeper, a Nomad, a Nadu, and just work their way up. They're full of mana dorks. So if we see things like Fatal Push remain the top of the metagame, then maybe the Elves version that overwhelms Fatal Push is better. If we see fair decks emerge that are playing Wrath of the Skies or Supreme Verdict or Terminus, then maybe the Elves version is a giant liability to have all those dorks in your deck. So that's a meta decision. I do think that the mid-range ban one is the most stable either way, but it's also the slowest.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Also, yeah, sweepers become name of the game. I don't want to play the elves version. Maybe the meta game dictates we need Force of Will, then we can't play that deck either. So a lot of stuff is up in the air, but I think we definitely agree that Nadu is yeah, it has a big target on its back. If you're thinking about the format, I can't wait to get into the trenches and play some tournaments. But maybe we can move into our games. First matchup was you won the die roll with your Eldrazi deck versus my Nadu deck. And yeah, I didn't feel like I did a whole lot. Your challenge was amazing the first game, and even good the second game. I was trying to think about how can I get around it, but it is something like quarter calling, like Zenith. But it was tough. It was really tough. Did you do any cool things with your Eldrazi deck?
No, it's just the most boring stock list there is. And yeah, game one, I kept on the strength of Chalice of the Void, which I knew would be good against everything except Shepherd in your deck. And then game two on the draw, I had a Kozilek's command, and then I drew another Kozilek's command, and then I found a Thought Not Seer, and that Blast Zone that Plague Winded you came off the top on the last turn when I had exactly enough mana to do it all. It was just kind of perfect. But yeah, the making the decision of do I keep attacking your mana or do I take out your Shepherd so my Chalice is better was really the only interesting thing that happened in that whole match.
Yes. Yeah, I think if I draw my second land that game, I can compete and do something until the Blast Zone, but I just played at such a slow speed, and you decided to slow me down even further with your Stone Rain Kozilek's command. I agree, that was an interesting one where my hand was full of mana dorks, so I kind of liked it, but I also liked it from your point of view with, imperfect info to just keep me down, and you knew you had haymakers over and over. So yeah, that was not the most interesting, but still a good display of, what's in our future, right? Nadu versus Eldrazi. So next up, I was on the play with Reanimator, and I don't know what to say.
Well, I actually punted game one because I had Allosaurus Shepherd in my opening hand that would have made my endurance uncounterable. But it was one of those things. I'm going to be honest. I had a long day and I woke up not feeling great today. So I'm like sick and tired. And I played the Birds of Paradise and I immediately said, oh, endurance should be uncounterable. And then you just had the days to kill me. So it was just like a momentary brain fart that really let you pop off there.
So do you think it's just strictly better or an actual hard decision?
I think the reason I became so comfortable to play the bird instead of the shepherd on turn one is this idea that the format is slower, even though your deck is the same fast deck from before, where before the bans, legacy games were decided around turn 2.5. And against Reanimator, whatever you have to do to survive that turn 2 is what you needed to do. And then once you emerge on turn 3 without an Archon of Cruelty in play, you could start playing Magic.
Yeah. And I would guess that's even more true now when my backup plan is not as great or not even existing, right?
Yeah.
So it's even more relevant now that you treat it as a combo deck, right?
Right. Yeah. And that really showcased the strength of Reanimator just with Counterspell backup, because I don't even know what you replaced your Psychic Frogs with. I don't know what's in that deck. It doesn't matter. You just Entomb Reanimated me with protection twice, and the game was over, and we never got to that phase. So that's still a showcase of we saw me tear you apart with Kozilek's command. We saw we saw you dumpster me with Reanimate, and those are cards that were on my list of cards I'd like to see leave the format, and here they are still doing their thing.
Yeah, those games are not my favorite either, because it doesn't matter what what level of player you are, how much you practice, right? So those are not my favorite games. I also want to play a little, and we got to play a little in the last one. So that was, as you said, your favorite deck and my favorite deck, or at least some versions of it that we want to have be competitive, right? So how tweaked is your deck? I always had this problem with Bug Beans where I don't feel like I'm getting enough mileage out of the Beanstalk. Can you kind of sell me a little bit on that deck?
Yeah, it's really a modal deck where if you have to get under somebody, you have Wasteland Daze and Murktide Regent. And if you have to go over somebody, you have Beanstalk, Force of Will, Murderous Cut. And you don't want to like tap out for up the Beanstalk against Reanimator, where like the same as you don't want to be wastelanding and dazing against Delver. And it's just kind of using your cantrips to find the correct half of the deck and solve for what your opponent might have. Like in our whole game, it was just a matter of, I am never letting you daze me. Maybe you have daze, maybe you don't, but I'm not under enough pressure to be worried about it. And I will take my time. I will not cast this cantrip into your Bowmaster until I'm ready to answer your Bowmaster, and just predict everything your opponent could have in their list and just dance around it and make them come to you.
Right.
And
that sounds like that's fun magic.
Yeah. Honestly, Bug Beans, if I could play Magic my way and everybody just had to have massive format knowledge and had to go back and forth and had to brainstorm and ponder correctly to get maximum value, Bug Beans is a really hard deck to play correctly. I think it's hard to construct and then hard to leverage. And I like being rewarded for that. But I also don't want to work too hard if I don't have to. So if the format is still like Eldrazi, Nadu, Reanimator, Bug Beans still probably isn't a good choice.
Yeah, that's a solid you staying true to what you like to do, but also being realistic about, reality can push you in a different direction. And that's partially why we're here today, to play with some new decks straight off the bat, share some thoughts. So let's say there's a Legacy tournament in a couple of days, maybe on the weekend. What would you be signing up with? What are you working on the next couple of days? If let's say it's an Eternal weekend online or whatever.
I would probably not register Eldrazi myself. I could see myself playing Nadu. I don't like Reanimator. Like, I don't like playing Reanimator. I don't like opening up my game plan to things like Fairy Macabre. Like, I tried Reanimator in the previous format with Psychic Frog, and I just didn't care for the play patterns myself. So I would be looking to be quasi-fair, like a little bit fair. Like, maybe Dreadnought is still good. Maybe something like Food Chain, or like a Days Undoing control deck with tons of removal. I don't know. I like the ability to brainstorm, Force of Will, find a plan out of a situation. But I also want a deck that can actually win.
Yeah.
How about you? What would you do this weekend?
I'm pretty high on the Reanimator thing, but I also think it's because I want to kind of prove that people are wrong about what, that the deck is still strong. It's kind of like with the grief. Oh, Reanimator's dead. If people just say those words, I'm gonna try and prove them wrong. So I think that's also a flaw, but could also be, a good superpower to have the drive to prove people wrong. So probably Reanimator. And by the way, I replaced them with the Tamios, basically.
Sure. Okay.
To basically have some kind of plan B. You can't really compare those two cards, but I guess you can a little bit. It's good against hate, I guess. You get to play a more fair game. So yeah, that's basically what I replaced them with. I think the deck is going to be fine, especially if people cut their, main deck Graveyard Hate. I mean, why would you play main deck Graveyard Hate right now would be my logic. So yeah, I'm high on that deck.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we have both come to the conclusion that the busted decks from the last format are still busted now. The ones that don't play Psychic Frog and Vexing Bauble. I've been looking at the trophy drops since this morning when people are in the queues, and Mystic Forge already has some trophies up. Some stuff it has not changed as much as one might hope. But if you were a Nadu player in the last format or a Reanimator player in the last format, Eldrazi, you still have a deck. Good job. Congrats.
Yep. Yeah, and maybe that's just job well done on the restrictions. It's like I remember back in Modern, back in Modern when Deathrite got banned, people still played Junt. So that's just like the definition of a good ban, in my opinion. If people can keep playing the same deck, but I don't know. I just like that. I didn't like the fact that people should shelve their cards after a ban round.
Yeah, I also agree that it is better to slow down archetypes that are out of bounds than to kill decks outright. Where in Nadu, obviously, if Nadu is banned, Nadu is gone. That is the deck.
Yeah,
Uh,
but then maybe you can still play some Zenith combo creature toolbox and breakfast, right?
Yeah, there's elves, there's breakfast, there's other things you
Yeah.
could do in the space. I don't think banning Reanimate would kill Reanimator. It would just slow it down. I don't think losing Sowing Mycospawn would kill Eldrazi. It just doesn't have crushing inevitability against control anymore. I think that there are bans that can be made or unbans that can be made that make the format
Yeah.
more interesting without making anyone quit the format.
Yeah. So last point for me about the unbans, just so see how much excitement there was on Twitter about the modern unbans. People are out of the woodwork. Oh, Splinter Twin, Mox Opal, Faithless Looting. Maybe we can take a page out of that book and apply it for Legacy, especially with some of the cards you already mentioned.
Yeah, I recorded with Mox Opal Affinity right before we started our playoff tonight, and I played against Faithless Looting twice, Grixis Delver twice, and Mox Opal once. Everybody is
Perfect.
out there trying the old new cards again.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's. I think Wizards saw that, and maybe some good things will happen before we know it. But yeah, I'm not gonna take much more of your time. You should get better soon, and yeah, take us out of here, Brian.
Okay, well, I have been Brian BoshNRoll Kovril. If you're watching on Ecobaronen channel, come check me out. If you're watching on me, go check out Ecobaronen. I'll have him tagged in my video description as always. And if you're not subbed already, I don't know what you're doing. Like we work together all the time. Get over there. So, Andreas, thank you again for this challenge, and see you for the next challenge.
Definitely.